This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOC with Tiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hi, thanks for listening. This is Moments of Clarity. My name's Tiffany Werner. I am a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And happy Halloween, everyone. Happy Halloween, Ed. Thank you so much for all you do.
Where's my button there? Happy Halloween. I had something here for you.
Woo.
Fitting.
It's fitting.
What movie is it from?
Halloween.
You took a shot in the dark.
It's the Michael Myers one, right? Yeah, it took me a second. Thank you for that. All right, so fun. We're going to have a great show. And it was funny. I was watching Netflix, and I was watching my friend James Swift. He's on The Haunted, Season 2, Episode 3. And I'm like, as I'm watching it, I'm like, there's my guest for Halloween. So she's on this as well. And she's a TV host for her own TV show, Pieces of Victory. And she's a published author. Her book will be coming out soon. And she's a survivor of an abusive lockdown reform school that existed in Ramona, California. And the darkness that she endured evolved her into becoming an activist against child abuse, and is currently interviewing survivors of teen programs on her TV show, Pieces of Victory. And these teen programs include conversion therapy, boot camps for kids, rehabilitation programs, tough love programs, reform schools, and you get the idea. She's an entrepreneur with the background of market research assistant at Pepperdine University and a School of Business, and she's also a supervisor for the undergraduate business division, and so much more. And what she's doing is really raising awareness for child abuse, sexual abuse, and things that people don't really understand that are so abusive to our kids today. And I want to welcome to Moments of Clarity, Jeneen Miller.
Hi, Tiffany. How are you doing?
Hi, Jeneen. Good.
Can you hear me?
It's a little soft. If you can make the volume louder, that would be better.
Sure. Okay. Can you hear me right now?
Better. Is that better, Ed?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Is that
welcome.
better?
It's better.
Hi. Okay.
So,
well, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Happy Halloween. And
happy Halloween.
And it's exciting to do a show like this, even though it's really probably a trigger warning for some people, too. And we're going to be talking about abusive situations, so just so you know. And so, Jeneen, tell us a little bit about your background and your history and why you're so passionate about what you're doing today.
Well, I'm so passionate about what I'm doing today is the mere fact that the school that I was locked into is not an isolated incident. This is happening across our nation. They're still abusing children across our nation, and it doesn't seem like anything is being done about it. Schools are open today, such as the Hepzibah House, which is a sister program of the one I was locked in, and the one that was the one Swift was locked in, and it has been open for over 5 decades, and they're abusing girls today as we speak. And that is just one example of what's going on in this country. So, that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it is happening today, and I know what goes on behind closed doors.
So what goes on behind closed doors? When was what?
Sure.
Want to share a little bit about what you went through?
Yes, I was an honor roll student. I didn't do drugs. I didn't even drink or smoke. And my parents locked me up in a reform school located in Ramona, California. And this was in 1988. And once you're locked into this place, you can't get out. There was a 12-foot fence with barbed wire, and a preacher from hell greeted me into this place, and they
preacher from hell greeted you into that place?
Exactly. I'm not going to mention names, so we'll just call him the preacher from hell. Once I was in there, I was deloused, They did that to every girl. They took all of our belongings. We weren't allowed to, our human rights were taken from us. I couldn't make phone calls, I couldn't write any letters. I couldn't have any visitors from the outside world. The only visitors I could have were my parents, and that was after 3 months.
Why did they send you there if you were getting straight A's?
From the world.
What?
Something happened with a family member. I was sexually abused, and when I confronted them, they didn't believe me. And it was a toss-up between I don't believe you or you're wild.
They thought you were attention-seeking or something?
Exactly, attention-seeking, and also, if it wasn't that way, my mother just thought I was wild, and, she didn't have any qualms about telling me that. And so I was angry, and they thought I was on drugs, and they could have given me a drug test, but they never did, and they tricked me into going to this place. They said I was going to a psychiatrist, and it was a long drive, but then once I was in the gate, it was too late. I was locked in with no way out.
So how long were you there for?
I was locked in there for 8 months, and it was worse than minimum and maximum security prison. I also did a comparison on juvenile hall, and I don't want to say, I really don't have an experience in juvenile hall, so I can't really say for sure what really goes on.
I do.
Behind closed doors in
I've worked there.
hall.
I've worked for the Department of Juvenile Justice and Maximum Risk. It's nothing like what you're saying.
Okay, I was going to say you could give us some insight, but I did call up Juvie Hall in L.A., and it sounded like a picnic compared to Victory Christian Academy.
It is, I think. I would never work for someplace unethical.
You can write.
You have a therapist.
When I mentioned, was there forced labor? Or is there any forced labor? She nearly threw a fit and bit my head off. I said, "You'll have to excuse me. I'm writing a book called Pieces of Victory," and we were forced labor and hardly had an education. And she got really upset. She said, "No, they're in school. There's no work." And I thought,
if they do work,
I should have been in Juvie Hall. I should have been in Juvie Hall.
But you have to commit a crime to go there, or many.
Yes, you do have to. Yes, thank you. You do have to commit a crime to be accepted into juvenile hall. So I didn't commit a crime. I had no record on me. I worked, too. I worked and I studied and I went to school. And apparently, you can be accepted into a lockdown reform school, according to what your parents say. Not about tangible, evidence stating otherwise. In other words, there was no criminal record. I didn't have any problems with authority. I had good grades. They didn't check that. They just gladly accepted me in with open arms. It's $1 billion industry, and they want to make their money. And that's another thing. They're $1 billion industries, and most of these places are excluded from the government.
They're run by churches, right? The ones that you're talking about?
Right.
So that's not the state funded.
Exactly. So there's no oversight, there's no regulation, and, I'm not trying to pick on religion by any means. This could happen in a licensed, unlicensed, religious, non-religious program. However, the one I was locked in happened to be religious or taking the flag of Christianity. But nothing that went on behind doors was Christian. And, yes, they would force feed girls. If they threw up, they would make them eat their own vomit. It is a sister program of the one that James Swift was locked in. He was locked into New Bethany, homes for boys and girls, and the boys were separated. He was what he described was locked into a dungeon.
Yeah, in cages.
They tortured the hell out of him in cages. Yes, it was awful. And this preacher was, running tax-free, collecting boys and girls and torturing the hell out of them. And also promoting sex trafficking, too. So he was making money off of that as well. And it's disgusting how he could get away with raping boys and girls, sodomizing, and he wasn't even indicted. Yeah, it's really disgusting how he got away with it. And then girls and boys that would run away from this place, the authorities would just bring them back to the school. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So,
After I watched The Haunted, the one that James Swift host was, you guys were on, it just put me in one of those moods for days, because it puts a visual to all this, what we're talking about today, and it's horrifying to think of any of our children ever going to a place like that.
exactly. And his was just the worst case of conversion therapy that I've ever heard of. And I want to say most of the conversion therapies are horrifying, but his was just awful, and it was really taxing on me after filming. I was depressed for 3 days, but his story needs to be told. The truth needs to be told of what goes on behind closed doors, and he's saving kids' lives right now. Eight parents have contacted him that were contemplating sending their kids to conversion therapy, and they decided not to after watching Netflix.
And they decided to do family therapy.
Cult of torture.
It's a cult of torture, right?
Cult of torture, exactly. It's the third one down, season 2.
And the thing is, I think that puts us in a mood is that it's true. It's not a false film. It's not fiction. And that's what is most disturbing.
And he has a book called Rusted Rhinestones, and I had to put that down so many times because it is disturbing. And, you know, you're going through it with him, and that's a good thing, because if you could just put yourself in his shoes as a parent, you would think twice about, you know, putting your trust. I'm sorry, I need to decline that. Can you hear me right now? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Putting your trust in strangers.
Right.
And there is an organization called Survivors of Institutional Abuse, and Jody Hobbs is the founder of that, and she has alternatives, and one of them is called the wraparound method. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, and that's when they pretty much work with the whole family as a whole family dynamic, as opposed to singling out a child. And, you know, if anyone is contemplating sending their kid to either a reform school, wilderness camp, a boot camp for kids, a conversion therapy, I suggest getting a hold of Survivors of Institutional Abuse, because Jody Hobbs has answers, and so does James Swift. Helpforteens.org.
Which is important. And I want to welcome callers to call in 866-826-1340, 866-826-1340, and join our discussion. We're going to take our first break, but we're going to be back with some more of facts and of child abuse and other things. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you looking to expand your knowledge in the mental health field and earn CEU credits at the same time? DID Discovering Hope is having their annual Creating Resilience Conference on November 15th and 16th, and it's open to all trauma survivors and therapists. 2 days of educational workshops will be led by internationally respected experts, including keynote speaker Dr. Colin A. Ross. For mental health professionals, 11 hours of CEUs are available. For more information or to register, visit diddiscoveringhope.org. Once again, that's diddiscoveringhope.org.
Hi, this is Tiffany Werner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywith